months and 5 days today, Ghana confirmed its first case of COVID-19. Since then, efforts to contain the virus and its impact on our lives have dominated the actions of government, not only here in Ghana but across the globe. The COVID-19 pandemic, which has swept through the world, has upended and exposed the weaknesses in some of the critical structures and systems in education, health, economic life, communities, and everyday family life. The pandemic triggered a sharp and heavy slump in global supply chains as the lockdowns and restrictions led to reductions in demand and production levels. Has also created a new inflationary problem with a consequential rise in the cost of shipping, disruption of the global supply chain, and exacerbated by increase in world fuel prices. Mr. Speaker, the spiraling cost of shipping have hit businesses hard, particularly small and medium-scale enterprises. SMEs have had to struggle with economic fallout from the pandemic, and furthermore, they are now being forced to cope with the rising cost of shipping. This is making the lives of traders and consumers very difficult. The hardship Ghanaians have experienced due to COVID-19 is not lost on the government. We have been there with the people playing the difficult but necessary balancing act of managing an economy put under extreme distress by the pandemic and at the same time supporting households and businesses to cope. Our response to COVID-19 thus far has earned domestic and worldwide acclaim, as our President and his fellow Ghanaians will attest to. Mr. Speaker, it has not been easy, and I know that from personal experience. The government has tried its best to save lives and cushion the impact on Ghanaians. It has been tough, but we thank God for His grace and mercy towards us. We empathize with families who lost loved ones during the pandemic, private school teachers who lost income for 12 months, business owners who lost earnings, the thousands of hospitality and tourism sector workers who were laid off, the slump in businesses built around our traditional and other social events, the jobless young people whose strenuous efforts to find work have been further compromised by the pandemic, and the impact on our mental health and well-being, which has also been profound. Mr. Speaker, His Excellency the President has asked me to deliver a special message to our fellow Ghanaians. He says to thank you, the Ghanaian people, for your resilience, to thank you for keeping faith with him and responding to all the measures that were needed to contain the spread of the virus. He wants to assure you that together we are fighting this, and we are fighting this to win together. Mr. Speaker, at the beginning of the pandemic, we had to address both the immediate as well as persistent health and economic impacts of the pandemic. Our response was bold, decisive, and compassionate, but also costly. As a responsible government, alive to the concerns of the people, we have had no choice but to implement critical interventions to take lives and to save lives and jobs, including feeding nearly 2.8 million people with hot meals. We also collaborated with our faith-based organizations to provide 470,000 families with food packages. Mr. Speaker, to mitigate the health impacts of the pandemic, government also employed additional 38,000 nurses. Tax exemptions worth 36.8 million Ghana cedis were also granted to our frontline staff, while 10.1 million and 4.78 million households were provided with free water and electricity, respectively. To facilitate the mass reopening of schools, Government provided 11 million students and staff with essential supplies such as face masks, paper towels, liquid soap, and sanitizers, all at great cost. Cooked meals were also provided to final year JHS students in both public and private schools. Mr. Speaker, these have been expensive, but we knew that the cost of doing nothing and disrupting the education of our children for an entire academic year would have been even greater. I'm proud to announce that not a single Ghanaian public sector worker was laid off as a result of the impact of the pandemic on our public finances, and we have managed to pay them monthly, and we are grateful to the unions for their cooperation in this regard. Under the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Business Support Scheme, cutbacks, Ghana Enterprises Agency provided 302,000 successful applicants across various sectors and regions with loans amounting to 523.11 million Ghana cedis. Mr. Speaker, we also ensured payments of our obligations to contractors and provided payroll support to some state-owned enterprises to guarantee jobs. Thankfully, our President led and acted decisively and wisely, and his leadership paved the way for many other countries in Africa and beyond. Mr. Speaker, let me assure the House that we are working hard to get back quickly to the pre-pandemic fiscal and debt trajectory. The fiscal policies